Dear students, in the previous lectures, I was discussing the learning behavior in which we talked about the definition, the characteristics of learning behavior, followed by habituation. And today, in continuation to the same, I will be discussing another learning behavior, and that is trial and error learning, which is also termed as conditioned reflex type 2, much of which is called instrumental conditioning, or by Skinner, operant conditioning. Learning by trial and error has basic instincts or motivation or drive or urge associated with it. Actually, whatever it is, learning by trial and error means you try and try, you make errors, and finally you know that yes, this is right. So the basic instincts of an organism, its motivational urge or drive, initiates it to perform a particular action, and with that performance, when results into some reward, some reinforcement, then that action or that behavior is performed again and again. So when animals are motivated by thirst, hunger, sex or fear, they show restlessness or exploratory or repetitive behavior during the course of which the organism performs spontaneously. Maybe a variety of motor patterns, that is sniffing, walking and looking around. So for example, I just say that you are hungry. Now you are hungry because you know that in the kitchen you would find food. What you would do is you go into the kitchen and you look for food. Now where would you search for the food? There are different boxes of snacks, maybe they are kept. You open one, you find nothing. You open second, you find nothing. You open third, you find some snacks in that which you like, and you eat it, right? Again, maybe after 2 or 3 hours, you are again hungry. Now because you have learned that the third box contains that particular snack, the first two are empty, you go directly and go for the third one. So one after the other, you by chance got the third box which had food. That means you learned, that is trial and error, because you tried the first one, that was empty, the second was empty, but because you are a human being, you have a different behavioral pattern as far as your memory is concerned. But for animals it is not so. So a number of acts are performed. So if one of these patterns is followed by reinforcement, that is, a hungry animal while exploring the surrounding receives food, and if this association is repeated, the animal learns to perform a pattern regularly to that particular situation. So once again, maybe after 4, 5, 6 days or 10 days, you again are hungry and you go in the kitchen for food, you would go again and try to see the same particular box. Maybe this time you find food or not, that is another thing, but you expect that you would find something in that particular box. An example will make it still more clear why this type of learning is called trial and error. In this early experiment on learning, Thorndike used a problem box, which is also termed as a puzzle box, and based on the ethologist, it is also known as Thorndike box. It is a cage which can be opened from inside by pressing a lever. A cat is shut in, which tries hard to escape it, and it moves around restlessly in that cage, explores its surroundings, bangs its head and paw here and there to somehow open the box. After some time, by chance, it steps on the lever and the door opens. So this is by chance. It steps on that lever and the cage door opens. The second trial is the repetition of the first and the third, but soon the cat concentrates more attention on the lever, and eventually it moves swiftly across the box and presses the lever as soon as it is confined. So once again, it opens, it comes out. Again you put it in the cage, maybe 1 or 2 times it performs the same, repeating its banging its head, moving its paw here and there. But then when third, fourth time it sees as pressing the lever, opens the cage, the gate of the cage, then after 5-6 attempts, when you put the cat into the cage, it would directly press the lever. Now this is the Thorndike box, comprising of the lever, the cat is inside, and then you just see that the cat would try to press the lever. This is just to demonstrate the experimental box. Thorndike's cat helped to formulate a law of effect, helped the ethologist Thorndike. He formulated a law of effect which stated that behavior changes because of its consequences. So the behavior changes because what is the result of that action. So if that it's a reinforcement, if it's a reward, the behavior would be towards that. If it's a punishment, the behavior would be against that. He said that every animal is born into a world which sets the puzzles. Example, a fox learns by trial and error how to enter a poultry farm and escape out of it unharmed after having a good meal, in the same way as Thorndike's cat comes out of the box. So this is in the field area. Actually we are studying it in the laboratory, but what actually happens in the natural world, it is that a fox enters a poultry farm because it would try to get its meal, that is the chicken there. So it learns how to enter and how to escape. The cat learns to eliminate behavior which led to no reward. It learns to eliminate, because you are not getting a reward, that behavior is washed off, that behavior is not performed by the organism, and increases the frequency of behavior which is rewarding, which gives you a reward. But the first reward is obtained by pure chance, but the first one is of course obtained by only chance. John B. Watson is the founder of experiments using a maze. Now maze is a device with zigzag confusing path where only one correct path leads to the goal. You often see in the newspapers or magazines some kind of maze which is provided, and here there's a puzzle there, when from where would you enter and from where would you go out. So that actually is a maze if it's in a instrument form, if it's in a box form. Watson picked rats for his research and attempted to discover what and how they learn different things. Watson was fond of watching behavior of rodents, that is rats. Realizing that they were underground animals crawling around burrows and sewers, he decided to test their performances in maze. Now because this animal, that is the rats and the gerbils, they are all rodents, they move underground in burrows, and burrows are interconnected with different tunneling system. So how do they know that from where to enter and how to move out, how they move about within that? So he decided to perform an experiment. With his works, the maze became a standard research tool for probing the mental processes of animals. He's built small, increasingly elaborate mazes culminating in a complicated model called Hampton Court maze. Today we have innumerable number of mazes used by psychologists and ethologists. Trial and error learning is by no chance confined to animals with well-developed brains. It is shown even by earthworms, that means with lower grade animals which do not have even well-developed brains. In an earthworm if placed in a stem of T-shaped tube, it turns left, it is given electric shock, and if it turns right, it is returned to its box without punishment. It is claimed by people who have enough patience to complete this experiment that the worm learns by trial and error to associate turning left with punishment and eventually always turns right. So because it has associated that left he would get punishment, that behavior is eliminated, and only the animal turns right because that won't give him punishment. We will consider a modern version of Thorndike's experiment. A pigeon is placed in a soundproof box whose one wall is transparent, enabling the experimenter to watch the bird's behavior. On one wall of the box is a point which the bird can peck for a food tray comes out with grains. So once the bird would peck that particular point, a tray comes out and it is of grains. It comprises of corn grains. The apparatus has been named after its inventor and is called the Skinner box. The pigeon is deprived of food for some time before it is placed in the box, because that means the pigeon is hungry enough and it needs food. When the pigeon is in the box, it will start to do all sorts of things, definitely, because no one would like to be in any cage. So when the pigeon is in the box, it would perform all activities, and because it is hungry, it wants to eat. It may turn around, thrust its head into a corner, stand still for a moment, coo, and then start grooming its feathers. So it would be performing various activities. Dear students, in the previous lectures, I was discussing the learning behavior, in which we talked about the definition, the characteristics of learning behavior, followed by habituation. And today, in continuation to the same, I would John B. Watson is the founder of experiments using a maze. Now, maze is a device with zigzag confusing path where only one correct path leads to the goal. You often see in the newspapers or magazines some kind of maze which is provided, and there's a puzzle there when you. In another maze learning experiment, the hungry rats are left in a Heb William maze. The rats are left to perform in maze one by one. The maze has two chambers, A and B, and between them is the maze. So you can see there is a start point, there is an end point. There are various galleries with blind ends, and the animal has to start from that start point that the animal or the rat is kept. It moves along in this maze area, and the end contains the reinforcement, that is the food. Rat is left in the chamber, start chamber, and end chamber has the food. The rat, after overcoming the neophobia, that is fear for new surroundings, leaves and comes to the maze. The experimenter records number of errors and total time taken in the maze. The rat reaches chamber end and gets the food. Rats are given many trials over a period of 1 month. It is noted that gradually number of errors and time taken in maze is reduced. The rat learns the correct path by trial and eliminating errors and selecting the correct action. So, after doing many trials, the rat learns that yes, this is the right path. Directly the rat reaches from the start point to the end point and doesn't go in the blind galleries of the maze. Thank you.